Hello everybody, this is NCS07 here and welcome to a duo review. So today I'm actually going to be reviewing two games instead of my normal one. Reason for that is because these two games are very similar to one another, and I mean seriously, I may as well just talk about both of them while I can. So today I'm going to be reviewing Astro Rescue Mission, PlayStation VR game, and Astro's Playroom, the pack-in PlayStation 5 game. So we'll start with Rescue Mission. So starting off with the presentation with Rescue Mission, it's definitely a really different VR game. It isn't as immersive as, say, Job Simulator, where it feels like you're really there, you're really doing all these tasks. Astrobot Rescue Mission is simply put just a 3D platformer that you play in VR. You look around and it manipulates the gameplay. That's pretty much all I really have to say about the game. Performance, like presentation wise, it's very simple and the game looks really nice too. Now, of course, given the fact that it's in VR, it isn't as good looking as, say, Playroom, but I'll get to that later. But this game still looks really good, and putting on those VR goggles really does make it seem like you're in a completely different world with how rich and alive everything really is. And performance-wise, the game runs completely fine. Though I believe there might have been one time that the game did crash on me. However, it was like once, and who knows if it actually happened. So moving to story. Story to the game is very simple. Basically, this UFO takes a hold of your ship and destroys 5 parts, scattering them across different areas, and also getting rid of a lot of the passengers. So you need to go and get like a lot of those passenger or just other bots back and the 5 parts, and then beat the UFO alien guy, and you win. Really, there isn't much story, but it's not like the game really needed it. They at least give it to you. So now moving on to gameplay, which is probably the most basic you'll ever really get. You move, you jump, you can hover, and you can punch. That is basically the gameplay of the game. That's pretty much it. You do every now and again get some of these gadgets that do take advantage of the DualShock 4, such as using a garden hose to water flowers, or potentially using a hook to hook onto things and make a bridge for Astro. Really though, that's pretty much all it really comes down to. And really, gameplay wise, it's very simple. So why am I not really talking about it negatively? Because it's so good. Seriously, the fact that the game is so simple is what makes it so good. Do you really want a VR game that's really complex to figure out? I don't think so. So it works very well here, knowing that it isn't too hard of a game. It's very easy to figure out, and it's very easy for newcomers to play, especially since not everyone has been able to try out VR yet. So it makes it for a very easy introduction into VR. It's very decent. But honestly, that's all I can really say gameplay-wise. Level design is absolutely phenomenal, but there really isn't a lot to say about the gameplay. It's basic, but it's a lot of fun. It is definitely an easy game though, but then again, do you really want a difficult VR game? I don't know. Again, I don't know. But gameplay-wise, really good, and control-wise, completely fine. And now moving on to content. Now, this game does cost around $15 to $20, but honestly, I'd spend $60 on this game and would still be just as satisfied. This game is so good. And now, in terms of content, I would say the game took around maybe 5 or 6 hours to beat. Probably took like an extra 7 to platinum, but that's pretty much it. The game doesn't have a lot of meat on its bones. It's just 5 worlds, and there's also like a huge challenge belt thing with a bunch of challenges and whatnot. But honestly, there isn't really that much content to the game. However, it isn't just content, it's more so the experience. It is totally worth your money because of how unique of an experience it is. Yeah, it's a platformer, but it's in VR, and it really does feel different from the other stuff. At least that's how I feel. But content-wise, it's fine. Completely fine. And music-wise, oh, the music is so good. Music is very decent. I love the title theme. I love some of the stage themes. It's so good. So, moving on to my final thoughts. I know I kind of went through this game quickly, And that's because I did. There isn't really that much for me to say about it because the game, when it comes down to it, is pretty simple. But the game is so good because it is simple. Seriously, not everything has to be super in-depth. Having games like this is just fun. And yeah, you can say what you want about the game being pretty easy and not really being hard, but it's a good game. And yeah, it isn't as immersive as other VR games like Job Simulator, where it actually really feels like you're there. But even so, this game is still good for being a game on its own. So that can't be denied. So honestly, I don't really have much else to say other than absolutely give this a try if you get PlayStation VR. On my scale from 0 to 10, I give Astro Rescue Mission a solid 8.5 out of 10. It is a very good game. That is a little annoying given the fact that you can only play it in VR. But, actually, I should talk about that a bit. While I do like Rescue Mission a lot, the VR definitely does make it a lot harder to enjoy the game, because with VR, you can't play the game for as long as you want, because play for more than like 40 minutes, you'll start getting headaches. And that's kind of the issue with the game, in my opinion. That does kind of keep it from like 9 or 9.5, is that you can't play the game in one whole sitting, and you need to buy the PlayStation VR stuff in order to play the game. Thankfully, you only really need the VR goggles and the camera. You don't need the Move controllers, but even so, I do kind of wish there was a different like mode or something like that in the game that did allow you to just play the game normally. But it isn't a big deal at all, but it definitely does make this game seem kind of lacking and kind of more irritating to play as opposed to the next game I'm going to talk about, Astro's Playroom. Though Astro's Playroom is probably just as hard to get right now anyways, given how hard it is to get PS5s. But I have one, and I played the game all the way through, so let's talk about it. So moving on to Astro's Playroom, starting with, of course, the presentation. Very similar game, very simple yet fun game. This game, however, isn't as original as Rescue Mission when it comes to the story or like characters and any stuff like that. However, what this game does excel at is not only making good use of the PlayStation 5, but also just being a complete love letter to PlayStation as a whole. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But the story and performance-wise, the game looks really, really decent too. Really, really nice at 60 FPS. So presentation-wise, really good. Story-wise, I don't think there is a story. Honestly, I can't really think of a story. You just go to 4 areas and then you fight a final boss at the end, and that's pretty much it. I won't spoil it because not everyone has played it, and it's very good. But story-wise, there really isn't anything, which isn't a big deal. So moving on to gameplay, it's the exact same thing as that of Astro Rescue Mission. Basically the same exact thing. However, Playroom uses the PS5's DualSense controller a lot more. While Rescue Mission did use DualShock 4 a lot, this Playroom uses the DualSense in very good ways. It takes a lot of advantages of it. The haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, as well as the touchpad. In every single area, there's one gadget that you use. Whether it's you as a monkey climbing a wall, or being this frog that hops around, or just being this rolling ball that moves through stages, kind of in a golf-like style, kind of like Super Monkey Ball. It's so cool because it makes good use of the DualSense, and it feels fun. It isn't super gimmicky or anything like that, or clunky. Sometimes it might be a little bit, but it feels really good, and it honestly really makes me want a lot from this game. Makes me want more from this game because the gameplay is just so decent. And the fan service. Now, as you go through these stages, there's 4 areas which represent 4 different eras of PlayStation. One area for PS1, another area for PS2, another area for PS3, and another area for PS4. It's really, really cool because you see a lot of references to other games they made. You might see a bot with a Ratchet and Clank headgear, or you might see like a bot riding along like telephone wires, kind of a reference to Infamous and all that stuff. It's so good. And it's fun to figure out all the references, especially going in blind, which is probably what my biggest thing is about this game, is I would totally go into the game blind and just play it for yourself and find all the references, especially if you're really into Sony games. But honestly, gameplay-wise, it's really, really good. It's so good. And the collectibles. All the collectibles. You collect PlayStation stuff. You collect the consoles. And you collect like all this other stuff that just represents PlayStation history. It's so cool. And you can even like interact with it too. It's so cool. But I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself. I shouldn't say too much. All I will say is gameplay is absolutely great. Especially given the fact that this game, you don't get a headache for playing for too long. So you can play this game for a much longer period of time, which is nice. Now moving on to the controls. The controls obviously are fine. Now moving into content, which is probably the only thing I would say that this game does kind of lack. This game is free. Granted, you have to buy a PlayStation 5 and possibly pay more than MSRP. I don't know, maybe, unless you're me. But honestly, I do think the game does have a little too little content. Honestly, I just want DLC for this game. Seriously, Sony, just make DLC for this game. Add more levels. Or hell, make a full sequel. I'd be completely down for that as well. So, content-wise, while it isn't bad at all, it definitely does have a lot to be desired. However, though, given the fact that it is free, it's not a very big deal. And it still has plenty of content to be there. And music-wise, music again is amazing. And in terms of final thoughts, Playroom is great. There really isn't much else to say about it because, honestly, just play it for yourself. On my scale from 0 to 10, I give Astro's Playroom a 9.2 out of 10. It is so good. It's so amazing. A fantastic game. But it could always be a little better. And I do think the game is a little bit short for what it is. But honestly, it's not even just the fact that it's short. I just want DLC super badly. So, yeah, if anyone at Sony is watching this, make DLC for this game, please. But that'll pretty much do it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button and let me know which one you like more. Because I like Playroom more. And also, I will do reviews on the Playroom and the Playroom VR as well eventually, but I don't really know how much I can say on those games, but I'll see what I can do. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!